In the bustling symphony of modern life, there exists a profound silence that millions carry within themselves. A silence so deceptive that it masquerades as contentment, productivity, even success. This is not the dramatic loneliness portrayed in movies, with tearful phone calls or empty apartments. This is something far more insidious, the quiet, invisible loneliness that thrives in plain sight, wearing the mask of normalcy while slowly reshaping the very core of who we are. Picture this. Someone sits in a crowded coffee shop, laptop open, appearing completely absorbed in their work. They smile politely at the barista, nod at familiar faces, and might even engage in brief pleasantries. To the outside observer, they seem perfectly integrated into the social fabric of daily life. Yet beneath this carefully constructed exterior lies an ocean of disconnection so vast that even they might not fully recognize its depth. This is the paradox of contemporary isolation. We have never been more connected technologically, yet never more alone emotionally. The very tools designed to bring us closer have in many ways created new forms of distance. We scroll through endless feeds of other people's highlight reels, mistaking voyeurism for intimacy, likes for genuine affection, and virtual presence for real connection. The psychology behind this phenomenon reveals something startling about human nature. When we experience prolonged periods without meaningful social bonds, our neurological architecture literally begins to rewire itself. The brain, that magnificent organ designed to help us navigate complex social hierarchies, starts interpreting isolation as an existential threat. Ancient survival mechanisms kick in, flooding our system with stress hormones that were once essential for detecting predators, but now leave us in a constant state of hypervigilance towards social rejection. Dr. John Cacioppo's groundbreaking research on loneliness revealed that the pain of social isolation activates the same neural pathways as physical injury. This is not metaphorical. The ache of loneliness is processed by our brains as genuine, measurable pain. Our ancestors who felt this pain acutely were more likely to seek out their tribe for protection, increasing their chances of survival. Today, however, this same mechanism often backfires, creating a hypersensitivity to social cues that can make genuine connection feel more dangerous than isolation itself. Consider Sarah, a talented graphic designer who moved to a new city 3 years ago for a promising job opportunity. Initially optimistic about building a new social circle, she joined hiking groups, attended networking events, and even tried online friendship apps. Each interaction felt like an audition where she performed a version of herself she thought others would find acceptable. When conversations remained surface level, or when group invitations stopped coming, she began to retreat. Not dramatically, but incrementally. She started declining invitations, telling herself she was too busy. She stopped initiating conversations, convincing herself that she was bothering people. What Sarah didn't realize was that she had entered what psychologists call learned social helplessness, a state where previous experiences of rejection or disappointment create an unconscious expectation of future social failure. Her brain, trying to protect her from further emotional injury, began filtering out potential connection opportunities, focusing instead on signs of disinterest or rejection, even where none existed. This phenomenon explains why many people who struggle with loneliness often appear to have social opportunities available to them. They receive invitations they don't accept, have colleagues who might become friends if given the chance, or encounter potential connections they don't pursue. From the outside, it might seem like they're choosing isolation, but the reality is far more complex. Their past experiences have created a neural pathway that associates social vulnerability with emotional danger, making solitude feel safer than connection. The transformation that occurs within prolonged loneliness is both subtle and profound. Time begins to move differently when you have no one to share moments with. Weekends lose their meaning when they're not distinguished from weekdays by social plans. Holidays become obstacles to endure rather than celebrations to anticipate. The natural rhythm of human life, which is inherently social, becomes disrupted, leaving individuals floating in a temporal void where days blend together in an endless stream of solitary routine. Marcus, a software engineer in his early 30s, describes this feeling with startling clarity. It's like living in a parallel universe where everyone else got a manual for human connection that I never received. I watch people effortlessly make plans, share inside jokes, and support each other through difficulties. And I wonder what fundamental social skill I'm missing. I've become an anthropologist of human behavior, studying interactions from the outside, trying to decode the secret language of belonging that seems so natural to everyone else. This perspective, viewing social interaction as an observer rather than a participant, is remarkably common among those experiencing chronic loneliness. It creates a unique form of emotional intelligence, a deep understanding of human behavior born from careful observation rather than active participation. Many chronically lonely individuals become highly empathetic, able to read social cues and emotional states with remarkable accuracy. Yet this same sensitivity often becomes a barrier to connection, as they notice every micro-expression of discomfort, every subtle shift in energy, every moment when someone's attention wanes. The irony is profound. Those who crave connection most deeply often become the most skilled at detecting when it's not genuine, making them increasingly selective about social opportunities. They develop an almost supernatural ability to distinguish between authentic interest and polite obligation, between genuine warmth and performed kindness. While this discernment could theoretically help them find better relationships, it often leads to a pattern of social perfectionism where no interaction feels safe enough, no person seems genuine enough, and no opportunity appears worthy of the risk. Dr. Vivek Murthy, former Surgeon General of the United States, has called loneliness a public health epidemic comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The physical health consequences are staggering. Increased inflammation, compromised immune function, elevated blood pressure, and increased risk of heart disease. But perhaps even more significant are the psychological adaptations that occur over time. When someone spends months or years in social isolation, their internal dialogue becomes increasingly prominent. Without external voices to provide perspective, balance, or challenge, their thoughts can become echo chambers where negative self-perceptions amplify and distort. They might replay past social failures repeatedly, analyzing every awkward moment, every perceived rejection, every interaction that didn't lead to deeper connection. This mental rehearsal of disappointment creates a narrative where social failure becomes not just expected, but inevitable. The digital age has added new layers of complexity to this experience. Social media platforms promise connection, but often deliver its hollow cousin. The carefully curated lives displayed on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok create an illusion of intimacy while maintaining emotional distance. Users can feel deeply connected to someone's daily routine, their thoughts, their struggles, and their successes, yet remain complete strangers. This pseudo-intimacy can be particularly torturous for those struggling with real-world loneliness, as it provides just enough social stimulation to prevent them from seeking genuine connection, while never offering the emotional nourishment that actual relationships provide. Emma, a freelance writer who has worked from home for 4 years, explains, "I know more about my favorite YouTuber's breakfast preferences than I do about my neighbor's name. I feel emotionally invested in the lives of people who will never know I exist, while the person living 20 feet away from me remains a complete mystery." It's a bizarre form of one-sided intimacy that somehow makes real connection feel even more impossible. This phenomenon has created what researchers call parasocial relationships, one-sided emotional connections with media figures, celebrities, or online personalities. While these relationships can provide some comfort and even a sense of companionship, they cannot fulfill the fundamental human need for mutual recognition, shared experience, and emotional reciprocity that characterizes genuine friendship. The transformation of loneliness from acute to chronic often happens so gradually that individuals don't recognize the shift until they're deep within it. It might begin with a life transition, moving to a new city, ending a relationship, changing jobs, or experiencing loss. Initially, the solitude might even feel refreshing, a chance to reconnect with oneself, pursue personal interests, or simply rest from the demands of social engagement. This honeymoon period with solitude can last weeks or even months, creating a false sense that isolation is a choice rather than a circumstance. But slowly, subtle changes begin to emerge. Conversations with cashiers, delivery drivers, or customer service representatives start to carry more weight, becoming the primary source of human interaction in a given day. The sound of one's own voice begins to feel foreign from disuse. Decision-making becomes more difficult without the sounding board of trusted friends. Emotional regulation becomes more challenging without the natural support system that relationships provide. Dr. Robert Waldinger, director of the Harvard Study of Adult Development, has spent decades researching what makes people happy and healthy. His findings consistently point to the quality of relationships as the strongest predictor of life satisfaction. But his research also reveals something crucial about the nature of meaningful connection. It requires vulnerability, consistency, and mutual investment over time. These are precisely the elements that become most difficult for someone who has adapted to prolonged isolation. The fear of vulnerability in particular becomes a significant obstacle. When you've spent months or years protecting yourself from the pain of rejection or disappointment, the idea of opening up to someone new can feel overwhelming. The emotional walls built for protection become barriers to connection. Trust, which develops slowly under the best circumstances, becomes even more elusive when past experiences have taught the brain to expect betrayal or abandonment. This creates a cruel psychological trap. The longer someone remains isolated, the more difficult it becomes to break that isolation. Social skills, like any other abilities, require practice to maintain. Conversation feels more awkward, social cues become harder to read, and the natural give and take of friendship feels foreign and exhausting. What once felt natural, calling a friend to share good news, reaching out for support during difficult times, making spontaneous plans, now requires enormous amounts of courage and energy. Yet within this challenge lies an unexpected opportunity. Many individuals who have experienced prolonged loneliness develop a profound appreciation for authentic connection when they eventually find it. Having lived without it, they understand its value in ways that others might take for granted. They often become exceptionally loyal friends, deeply grateful for genuine companionship, and remarkably attuned to the emotional needs of others. Lisa, now in her 40s and surrounded by close friendships, reflects on her period of isolation in her 30s. Those years of loneliness were the most difficult of my life, but they taught me something invaluable about what I truly needed from relationships. I stopped settling for surface-level connections or friendships based on convenience. I learned to recognize genuine warmth, authentic interest, and emotional availability. When I finally started making real friends, I chose better because I understood the difference between being with people and being truly seen by them. This selectivity, born from scarcity, often leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships. People who have experienced chronic loneliness frequently report that their eventual friendships feel more authentic and satisfying than the social connections they had before their period of isolation. They've learned to value quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and genuine compatibility over social convenience. The journey from chronic loneliness back to connection is rarely linear or simple. It requires what psychologists call corrective emotional experiences, interactions that challenge the negative beliefs about relationships that isolation has created. These experiences must be repeated over time to create new neural pathways and rebuild trust in the possibility of genuine connection. Sometimes these corrective experiences come through unexpected channels. A colleague who consistently includes them in lunch plans, a neighbor who remembers personal details from previous conversations, a therapist who provides unconditional positive regard, or even a pet who offers non-judgmental companionship. Each positive interaction creates a small crack in the wall of defensive isolation, allowing light to enter and growth to begin. The role of self-compassion in this healing process cannot be overstated. Many chronically lonely individuals have internalized harsh judgments about their social struggles, believing that their isolation is evidence of some fundamental flaw or inadequacy. Learning to speak to themselves with kindness, to recognize their loneliness as a common human experience rather than a personal failure, becomes essential for opening up to connection with others. Mindfulness practices, therapy, creative expression, and gradually increasing social exposure all play important roles in the recovery from chronic loneliness. But perhaps most importantly, individuals must begin to see their period of isolation not as wasted time, but as a season of growth that has prepared them for deeper, more authentic relationships in the future. The modern epidemic of loneliness is not just an individual problem. It's a societal one that requires collective awareness and response. Communities that prioritize connection, workplaces that foster genuine collegiality rather than mere productivity, and social structures that support vulnerable individuals during life transitions all play crucial roles in preventing and healing isolation. Understanding the hidden nature of modern loneliness, how it can exist behind smiles and productivity, how it shapes neural pathways and emotional responses, and how it can be both a source of pain and a pathway to deeper wisdom, is essential for creating a more connected world. For those currently experiencing this form of isolation, recognizing that it is both real and temporary, both painful and potentially transformative, can provide the hope necessary to begin the journey back to connection. The silent ache of invisible loneliness need not be permanent. With patience, self-compassion, and gradual steps toward vulnerability, even the most isolated individuals can find their way back to the warmth of human connection. And when they do, they often bring with them a depth of appreciation and emotional intelligence that enriches not only their own lives, but the lives of everyone they touch. In a world that often moves too fast for genuine connection, those who have learned to value it through its absence become its most precious guardians, creating circles of authentic relationship that serve as beacons of hope for others still finding their way home.